The world's most critical trade artery is now under siege. In a move that has sent shockwaves across global markets, Iran has unleashed its most powerful geopolitical weapon, tightening its grip over the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow gateway through which the lifeblood of the world economy flows. At first glance, it looks like a stunning, strategic victory, but this is far more than a regional confrontation. Thousands of oil tankers now sit frozen in hostile waters, trapped beneath the shadow of missiles and armed drones. To the south, Houthi forces have sealed the Red Sea gateway, turning the entire corridor from Asia to Europe into a battlefield. With billions of dollars vanishing every hour, the world is no longer preparing to endure the crisis, it is preparing to rewrite the map of global power itself. Global powers have now set in motion three massive strategic projects destined to redraw the map of the Middle East. This is more than infrastructure, it is a geopolitical revolution designed to reshape the lifelines of global trade. To the south, a monumental waterway is planned to cut through once impenetrable mountains. Across the heart of Iraq, a powerful trade corridor is rising toward Turkey and Europe. In the west, a steel energy route is stretching across the desert toward the Mediterranean, steadily rewriting the balance of regional power. At the center of this geopolitical storm stands the most ambitious project on the map, the Hormuz Strait Bypass Canal, also known as the Hajar Mountains Canal Project. This is not merely infrastructure, but a strategic engineering response to one of the world's most critical maritime choke points. Cut through the rugged mountains of northern Oman, the canal is planned to stretch 32 kilometers, directly linking the Persian Gulf to the Sea of Oman. This route has been chosen with extreme precision, designed to provide the fastest and safest alternative for vessels seeking to bypass the highly sensitive waters of the Strait of Hormuz and move beyond the reach of regional threats. The scale is enormous. Nearly 400 million cubic meters of rock would be excavated through the Hajar Mountains, whose peaks rise to 650 meters. Once completed, the canal would be 25 meters deep and 300 meters wide, large enough for the world's biggest oil tankers and heavy cargo vessels to pass with ease. In addition, 3 advanced lock systems would be constructed to stabilize sea level differences and ensure uninterrupted movement. The investment is equally massive, with estimates ranging from $100 billion to $300 billion. Yet the strategic purpose is unmistakable. Every day, nearly 20 million barrels of oil, roughly 20% of global supply, pass through Hormuz. This canal changes the entire equation. Instead of entering exposed waters vulnerable to disruption, ships could move through a secure inland corridor and exit safely into the Arabian Sea. Such a route could dramatically reduce the strategic pressure surrounding Hormuz, weaken regional leverage, and open a new era of safer and more resilient global trade. Now, the focus shifts from the mountains and waterways to a second mega project that is far more tangible and already moving rapidly toward reality. Standing at the center of this strategic transformation is the Development Road Project, a vast land and rail corridor designed to place Iraq and Turkey at the very heart of global trade. The route begins at Iraq's Grand Fa port, the country's critical gateway to the Persian Gulf. From there, it stretches across the full length of Iraqi territory before crossing into Turkey and extending toward Europe through major transport links and Mediterranean access points. Spanning approximately 1,200 kilometers, this corridor is being designed as a high-capacity modern trade artery built for speed, volume, and long-term strategic resilience. This is far more than a highway. Alongside the road, Network runs a major railway system built to support heavy freight movement on a massive scale. Once fully operational, the corridor is projected to move up to 7.5 million containers and 33 million tons of bulk cargo, creating a direct and secure commercial bridge from the Gulf to Europe. With an estimated cost of around $17 billion, this is no longer a distant vision. A historic financing framework involving Turkey, Iraq, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates has already been established, pushing the project steadily toward construction. The strategic significance is immense. Instead of sending oil, gas, and commercial cargo through vulnerable maritime choke points, shipments can be transferred directly from Grand Fa onto rail lines and transport routes heading north. This secure overland corridor offers an alternative path beyond the reach of maritime disruption. As risks at sea continue to rise, this steel corridor could emerge as one of the most critical lifelines for regional and global trade. It positions Turkey as a dominant logistics hub between East and West, while giving Iraq a renewed role as a global transit gateway. A third strategic corridor is now emerging, one that could significantly reshape the geopolitical balance of the Middle East. At the height of the crisis, Israel has advanced a bold proposal to establish a new overland energy route that bypasses the Strait of Hormuz entirely. The plan envisions a vast pipeline network stretching from Saudi Arabia across the desert to the port of Haifa on the Mediterranean. Through this route, Gulf oil could reach European markets by the shortest and most secure land corridor, removing the need for large tankers to pass through vulnerable waters. Beyond its economic value, this project positions Israel as a critical energy gateway linking the Gulf directly to Europe. While political barriers remain significant, the growing pressure around the Strait of Hormuz has opened the way for extraordinary strategic alternatives. Even as future mega projects continue to take shape, critical lifeline pipelines are already operating at the center of the crisis. At the forefront stands Saudi Arabia's East-West Petroline, one of the most vital energy corridors in the region. Stretching nearly 1,200 kilometers from the eastern oil fields across the desert to the Red Sea port of Yanbu, this massive pipeline has become a key safeguard against maritime disruption. It is currently operating at peak capacity, capable of moving up to 7 million barrels per day, with around 5 million barrels already reaching global markets through Yanbu. The United Arab Emirates is also reinforcing this bypass network through the Habshan-Fujairah pipeline, exporting an additional 1.5 million barrels daily without relying on Hormuz. Combined, these active overland routes now redirect nearly 9 million barrels per day, forming a critical shield that helps stabilize global energy flows and ease market pressure during the crisis. As freight costs surge by nearly 500%, these overland transit routes have become more valuable than ever strategic lifelines, holding back a wider global inflation shock. What now stands between the world economy and a deeper crisis are these carefully built alternatives designed to bypass the Strait of Hormuz. The lesson has been painfully clear. Dependence on a single maritime choke point is no longer sustainable. What was once considered an optional infrastructure vision has now become an urgent strategic necessity. With pressure mounting from both the Red Sea and Hormuz, global trade is rapidly shifting toward highways, rail corridors, pipelines, and mountain tunnels. Yet a critical question remains: will Iran simply watch as its most powerful geopolitical lever loses relevance? Future risks may include cyber disruption, proxy sabotage, and growing pressure on these new corridors. Even so, the strategic shift has already begun. The world is no longer waiting for the crisis surrounding the Strait of Hormuz to simply fade away. Instead of relying on military pressure alone, nations have begun building permanent strategic alternatives of their own. From the canal carved through the Hajar Mountains to the steel corridors crossing Turkey and the energy pipelines stretching across the desert, these projects represent the most concrete response yet to one of the world's most critical trade vulnerabilities. Time is no longer favoring those who control narrow choke points, but those with the engineering power and capital to bypass them. This is no longer just a regional infrastructure story, it is a profound shift in global geopolitics. For centuries, control over strategic waterways such as Gibraltar, Suez, Malacca, and Hormuz has shaped the rise of empires and the balance of power. Today, that equation is changing. Massive capital flows, multinational partnerships, and advanced engineering are challenging the old rules imposed by geography. The image of thousands of ships stalled in Hormuz may one day be remembered as the final snapshot of an older world order. Behind these emerging corridors stand not only regional governments, but major international consortia, Gulf investment networks, Western technology firms, and Asian trade powers. Global commerce has always found new routes when old ones become uncertain. As tunnels, rail networks, and smart pipelines expand, new logistics hubs, secure trade cities, and strategic infrastructure shields are beginning to rise around them. The world is moving away from an era in which a single choke point could disrupt trillions in trade, and toward a new age defined by alternatives, speed, resilience, and uninterrupted economic flow. Geography is no longer destiny. It is now a battlefield reshaped by strategy, steel, and power. The future belongs not to those who block the route, but to those who forge new corridors. The question now is clear. Which project will redefine the balance of global power next? Thank you for watching.